Hey guys, and welcome to the Farm and Pastor's Wife. You can probably tell I am not in my kitchen. I am in the church's kitchen. And so I'm cooking for our fellowship meal. We call it Feast with Friends. We do it once a month. We have a meal, and people pay $3 when they get here. And it's a home-cooked meal. And so I'm going to do it. So I thought today, instead of like doing I'm not going to give you what I'm cooking or my recipe, but I just thought I'd give you some tips on how to cook for a crowd. And then, at the end of the video, show you how to make tea for a crowd. Because you always want, you never know how much tea you're going to go through. If you're in the South, we drink sweet tea. So it's going to show you how to make tea for a crowd that doesn't take up much room, but you're prepared in case you need to put some more in the urn real fast. So I'm just washing these potatoes, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to start giving you some tips on how to cook for a crowd. Okay guys, so I'm just going to keep working while I talk to you. So tip number 1, you need an approximate number of how many you're going to cook for, and then cook for more. I would much rather have too much food than to run out. So we kind of take an average, like what we've been averaging, and I kind of go from there. I take into consideration any holidays that may be around, but I always cook for more. It is of my opinion that a sign-up sheet does not work, because you'll have people sign up or not sign up, and they'll call at the last minute and say, oh, I forgot to sign up, but I want to come. Or you'll have people sign up and sign 10 family members up and then call you at the last minute and say, oh, we're not coming. So then you've cooked for them. And now if you were doing prepaid tickets, that would be one thing. But as a rule, sign-up sheets don't work. Again, prepaid tickets would work because they're committed for it, and if you cook and they don't show up, it's their loss. But so I'm expecting about 60 to 70 folks. So I'm cooking for 80. If that makes sense. Because you do not want to run out. I'd much rather send food home with people or let them come back for seconds than to run out of food and people not have had anything. So, tip number 1, know about how many you're going to have show up and then cook for more. I don't have a percentage as what to increase it by. You just be the judge of that. But that is my tip number 1. So tip number 2, pick a meal that is going to be easy, that you're not going to stress over. Pick something that you can do one pot or very little prep. I love to fry chicken at home, but that would stress me out if I was frying chicken for a crowd. Unless I had a lot of help. Fried chicken is not something I would choose. I would pick something as easy as possible. I would pick something that I wouldn't stress at all over. That I can just whip together something I'm very familiar with and make it work. Adapt it for a crowd. Like right now, I'm cutting potatoes. At home, if I was going to stew potatoes, I would peel them. I would use the Yukon Gold. I would peel them and so forth. I don't have time to peel 50 pounds of potatoes. So instead of the Yukon Gold, I've gone and got the thin skin red potatoes. I've washed them good, and now I'm just cutting them up. I'm not taking the time to peel them. Also, you need to do your research. Like if you're cooking something that you normally cook at home, but since you're cooking it for a crowd, it's going to change the cook time. Like I'm doing meatloaf, and I'm doing bigger meatloaves than I would at home. So it's changed my cook time. I needed to research and find out, first of all, what the meat needed to be as far as temperature, how long it was going to take it to cook to reach that. So once you've planned your meal, do your research so you know your timeline. You know when to get things in the oven and when to get things cooking. So you plan your meal, plan something that is not stressful. Okay, tip number 3. Not everything has to be your homemade, your wonderful food stuff. Y'all know I pride myself on my biscuits. And whether I make them from the Formula L mix or whether I make them from scratch with self-rising flour and Crisco and so forth. But when I'm cooking for this crowd, I'm not going to want to make biscuits I want to, but I'm not going to have time because I'm cooking everything by myself. And so I opted for just ready-made rolls that you can go buy in bulk at like Sam's Club or Costco or even Walmart for that matter. I don't have to show off my from scratch cooking skills at these meals. I just don't. You want it to be good, I know that, but you got to think wise and do things the wise way. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just slicing up these potatoes that I didn't peel because I don't have time to peel them. And I'm making a meatloaf. I know how to make a meatloaf at home. I know what the ingredients are. I know the feel and the look of it. And I did my research. I know how long I need to cook it. I know what temperature it needs to be. I only have one oven here in the church, but we do have a warmer. So I'm going to cook 6 pans total. I'm going to cook 2, stick those 2 in the warmer, put the other 4 in the oven, and then have those ready to serve when people arrive. And the 2 that are in there are just extra. So I don't know what tip that is. Is that 2, 3, 4? I don't know, I've lost count, but I'll come back with another one. Okay, so next tip. Not sure what number it is, but prep ahead of time. Now this is one area you probably should do as I say and not as I do. Last night I should have chopped my onions and peppers ahead of time. I didn't. I'm one who I just soon come to the church, stay here all day, get it all done, be here all day. Like I'm here every morning and I'll be here till late tonight. I understand that does not work for most people. So prep ahead if you can. Do things at home if you can. There again, I don't like to do that. My kitchen is so small. When I cook in it for just our family, it makes such a huge mess, let alone cooking in it for a crowd. So that's my next tip. Do as I say, not as I do, and prep ahead. Get things done that you can just throw it together once you get to the church or once you get ready to put it together. Prep ahead. Okay, so next tip. You need to pick, this kind of goes back to picking your meal. You want to pick a meal that's seasonably acceptable. Like you're not going to want to do a pot of chili in the dead of summer, in the heat of summer. And you're probably not going to want to cook out in winter. So pick a meal that is seasonally acceptable or pleasing. Okay, so one of my tips is making tea ahead of time and having it ready to go. So I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to take a break from giving you tips, and I'm going to show you how to make tea for a crowd and to have it ahead of time. So I've got 2 pots like this, and I'm going to fill it within, a couple inches to the top with water. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to fill these 2 pots up to about right here with water. Okay, so in each of those pots, I'm going to put 8 family-sized tea bags. 8 in each one. 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to take the little tabs off and just drop them down in there because I don't want to worry about my strings catching on fire while I'm here at church. So I'm just going to take the little tabs off, drop strings and all down in there. Each pot gets 8 tea bags. Okay, you don't want to bring your tea up to a boil. You just want it to be good and foamy looking on top. I'm going to let it go just a little bit longer than where it's at now. I'm just going to let it get kind of white with foam up here on top, but not a boil. And I'm going to cut it off. The reason you don't want to boil it is you don't want to bust your tea bags. You don't want grounds in there. So I'm going to bring it up and then I'm going to cut it off and just let it steep for a while. Okay, see how it's white and foamy right here? I am just going to cut this off and let it sit. If I need that burner, I'll set it off of the burner and have a burner ready to use if I need it. So I'm just going to let it sit. Let all that tea goodness. I don't have time to fix the tea right now anyway. So we're just going to let it sit for a while. The other one is coming up to temperature. I forgot to turn that burner on. But anyway, that's what we're working on now. Okay, so I'm going to skip away from the tea for just a little bit and give you another tip. So stay tuned for the rest of the tea. This is a tip that is hard for me. But ask for help. Ask for help, y'all. There are probably retired ladies or gentlemen who would love to come and offer their assistance. And let me tell you why it's hard for me. It's not because I think I'm the only one that can do anything. It's because I'm afraid if I tell them something to do, I'm afraid they're going to think I'm bossy. And I don't want anybody to think I'm bossy. So, leadership is not a good area for me. So, now I usually will recruit my family for help because I don't mind telling them what to do. I don't mind bossing them. I just don't want to be bossy to anybody else. I just want to be bossy to my family. Was that a good Italian accent? But, yeah, I struggle with that one. But, like today, I could really use some help. I don't even have my green beans going yet. I am still slicing potatoes. Just think if I had to peel these suckers. Good night in the morning. So that is my next tip, is ask for help. Now I do have help coming. It's going to help me serve this up. I think we've been fixing the plates, serving them out the window. We have a big window thing here. But I think I'm going to let this be family style, as far as not sit it at the table family style, but let it be buffet style tonight. I just think it's going to work better. The lady who set up the fellowship hall beautifully, she set me up some serving tables, so I think I'm definitely going to use them. But I do want to go ahead and pre-slice the meatloaves. I'm having meatloaf tonight, by the way, y'all. I want to pre-slice those so we're sure we have enough. So I am like feverishly slicing these potatoes just because. And if I see any spot on them at all, I'm tossing the whole potato because I'm tired of slicing potatoes. About to run out of pots to put them in. I have one more after this one I think was going to be perfect. So I'll come back and give you my next tip in just a minute. Another tip. These roasters are your best friend. If your church does not have these, I suggest, and you do the meals, I suggest you purchase some, donate them, ask, beg, plead, whatever you got to do, because they are wonderful. And a commercial can opener is a great idea too. Although I'm not sure which way it goes. Well, my husband's going to have to come open these for me because I can't do it. There we go. I just didn't do it hard enough. All right. 1 can of green beans going in the roaster. Now I'll doctor them up once I get them in here. Oh, that was loud. But y'all got to get a roaster. You can do a pot of chili. You can do barbecue chicken. You can do your spaghetti sauce in here. You can do a pot of pintos. You can do all sorts. These are a must for a church if you're going to have fellowship meals. So invest in some of these roasters. Okay, so let's finish the tea. We have these urns, these tea urns that we put our tea in. This is 3 gallons. So in order to have enough tea, but not like fully make tea, what I make is a concentrate. So as you know, we've done the 8 tea bags in the pot of water. So I've gone through the cabinets, found me a container, and I'm going to put 4 cups of sugar in that container. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 cups of sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get one of my tea bags, my tea pots. I'm going to try to pour it without spilling. Now you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, that's a lot of sugar for that little amount of tea. And you're right. That is a lot of sugar. But what we're going to do is this is what's going to fill up the tea urn. When it comes time, I'm going to stick this in the refrigerator. It's not taking up any space. We'll put it in the refrigerator. Then when it comes time, I'll pour this in that 3-gallon tea urn, finish filling it up with water, and we have sweet tea. So this is basically a concentrate that you're just going to add water to. So I make 2 of these. I make 2 sweet teas and 1 unsweet. And we have enough for our church. So he's, are you getting some goodie out of the tea bags? He put a little bit of water on top of the tea bags to get any extra tea that we can. So as soon as we're ready, we just pour this in the urn and then fill the urn up with water, give it a good stir, and you have the most delicious southern sweet tea. And I'm going to make several concentrates and stick them in the refrigerator. So when we run out, I just go bring the urn in here, pour it in, fill it up with water, and we have tea. We don't have to cook tea again. So there you have it, how to cook tea for a crowd. Hey guys, I hope you've all enjoyed this time of me just giving you some tips on how to cook for a big crowd. The only other tip I can think of, I think we're done pretty much, is just to have fun with it and not to get caught up in cooking for every special diet out there. Set your menu and go with it. Don't try to cater to every special dietary need out there. I do try to tell people to bring a sugar-free dessert if they have one. I do make unsweet tea, but other than that, there's just so many different dietary needs out there. There is no way you can cater to everyone. You've got vegan. There's so many forms of being a vegan. There is low sugar, low sodium, keto, gluten-free. Now, I do try to stay as much as I can away from nuts because so many people have nut allergies. But you know, there's just so many different health needs and dietary needs, and then some people are just on diets, and there's just no way you can cater to every single need out there, and don't feel guilty about it. Tell everybody you want them here. If they need to bring something, that's fine, but this is what you have and this is what you're going with. So don't stress over those things. Those things steal your joy in cooking for others. So you just do the best you can. Don't get caught up in trying to, because if you fix for one person, then somebody's going to say, well, fix this, I need this, or I need this, and then you're going to have so many different things going that it's just going to be impossible to keep up with. So set your menu and stick to it. Have fun. Have a great time. It's a joy to cook for people. I love to cook for people. I have cooked meatloaf, stewed potatoes, and green beans today. I've made cookies and tea, and so I just hope you enjoy this video and of tips on how to cook for a crowd. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be glad to get back with you or do another updated video. So thank you for joining the Farm and Pastor's Wife here at the Fellowship Hall at our church. And remember, if the grease is hot enough, you can fry anything. Bye, y'all.